Hey, check it out. As a technology entrepreneur, I've had to work on a number of SR&ED applications over the years. That's a scientific research and experimental development program in Canada that funds R&D. And if you've done this before, or you already know that it takes a lot of work in the documentation, the preparation of the applications, and so on. And one of those aspects that takes a lot of effort is bringing together all of the numbers for your application. Even if you already have really robust systems like we've always had in our company, I've always implemented time logging, good accounting systems, everything that we would need, but you still got to go through all the work of bringing the numbers together from these systems specifically for the purpose of the SR&D application. And every year I found myself, working on spreadsheets and trying to tweak them here and there. And finally I got kind of fed up and said, let me build something that's foolproof here, that really makes it easy, and not only easy for me, but easy for me to delegate to someone else to be able to input these numbers and make sure that they're being inputted correctly and so on. So I created this SR&ED spreadsheet, and I'm offering it to anyone that needs it to help you with your SR&ED application. So I'm going to show you a quick demonstration here. You can download a trial version and actually play with the program yourself. So this is created in Excel. So let me show you what it looks like. So basically we have 3 tabs at the bottom. We're currently on the About tab, which explains what to do here. And basically it's telling you that anything that's green boxes, you can input your numbers in wherever it's relevant for you. Some parts may not be relevant for you because the program is very flexible in terms of what fits and what doesn't. And then you'll see validation and other things happening. So let me show you now the summary. This summary tab here is going to summarize all of your numbers from the details tab. Okay, so you're going to input your numbers in the details tab, and this is going to summarize everything for you nice and neat here. And then here is the details tab. So up here you would input again any green boxes that are relevant to your application you want to fill in. And we also have these we have notes on all of the cells that explain more details into what goes into each of the boxes. So you can just roll over the cells. The little marker, the red marker, shows you where there are notes. And down here, all of the table headings have notes and so on. So basically, you enter your basic project information here and any government funding you may have received, because that's part of the calculation. And then essentially what you're doing is you're logging the time spent by people or contractors on your project. So here you would list your various employees. Let me zoom in here. You can see a little closer. So you just replace these generic employee names with your actual employee names. So this table is used for employees who are working on an hourly rate. We have a table below for employees that are working as a percentage of salary. And then we have another table for hourly rate contractors and another for fixed price contractors. And as you can see, this is why these applications get complicated, because it does different. You have to do different calculations depending on the nature of the employment terms that people are working. And we've simplified it here in the spreadsheet by basically having different tables for each of the ones. And the ones that aren't relevant for you, you can just ignore. You don't have to do those. Most people are going to do the employee by hourly rate one. So basically you input your employees, you input their wages and so on, and then their hourly rates. And here's the other cool thing about it, which is again one of the complexities. If you had a change of salary for an employee during the term of the SR&D claim, then you have to do multiple calculations, because you have to do a calculation with the previous salary and then the calculation with the current salary. And again, this all gets complicated, but this spreadsheet simplifies all of that, because you can just do a separate line item for each rate and then the hours on that rate, and then it'll automatically calculate it for you. So all these blue cells that you see here are automatically going to be calculated. You got your overhead here if you're using a different overhead percentage, and that might change year after year. And then we have validation checks. So all these yellow boxes are basically validation checks. And if something just doesn't seem to add up, you'll actually see a note, usually in red text, that'll tell you what the problem is and why it's not adding up, and kind of give you that warning. And so that's what's really great about this spreadsheet is not only does it make everything really nicely organized, easy to input, easy to understand. You know, if I zoom out, this is what it actually looks like here. And again, you'd only use the parts that are relevant for you, and you only have to fill in the green information. The blue is automatically calculated, and the yellow is the validation. And that's the second part that's really useful for this, is it will help identify potential errors. Now, it can't identify 100% of errors. You know, if you make some problems entering data from your systems in here, it's not necessarily going to identify those, but any simple ones are here. And you know, if you're relying on building your own spreadsheets, you already know how easy it is to make a formula error or something, and you know, cause you all sorts of havoc and problems. Not only trying to track down that error, but what if you discover it the next year? Now you have got to report back and do new applications. It's a nightmare scenario. So anytime you can standardize these things, it's much better. And so anyway, that's how it works. It's the SR&D spreadsheet. Go to SRED Here's the URL here, and download the trial version and see what you think.